I'm heading for one of the most amazing sights in Patagonia, the Perito Moreno Glacier. Advancing at a rate of just over 6 feet a day, it's one of the few glaciers in the world that's getting longer. 10 times the size of Manhattan, this ice wilderness, chilled by freezing Patagonian winds, is as bad as tough as it gets. This is the last place on Earth you'd want to be stranded. I'm going to try and get across this ice monster and show you the skills you'd need to make it out alive. And my camera crew is coming with me.
Do you know, the first thing that's hard is just even moving on this. In boots like this on the ice, it's like going uphill on an ice rink. Look, watch this.
Trying to move across a glacier without crampons is pretty impossible.
And that's just trying to move 20 feet. I'm going to need another plan if I'm going to make any progress across this. Okay, let's just think.
If you haven't got crampons and there's a glacier between you and safety, you've got to improvise.
If I get my boot off and these off, I need to try and get them over the end of this. And the aim really is for these socks to give more traction than just the rubber sole of these boots.
I don't know if this is going to work, but there's only one way to find out.
Okay, time to give it a try. And that's great. It's definitely grippier than just rubber soles.
Who would have thought it? A simple pair of socks gives me just enough grip to keep my footing on this rock-hard ice. Temperatures can easily drop to -4 Fahrenheit, and the fierce wind whipping across the glacier can make that feel like -40. You don't want to hang around up here. You gotta keep moving.
What's happening at the moment is I'm just getting all of these like pressure ridges, these like waves of ice with all of these crevasses the other side of them, and it's making keeping any sort of direction really hard.
To get some speed up, I'm going to ditch my socks and use normal crampons. The 870 square miles of ice splits and cracks as it buckles and twists downhill. Crevasses that can swallow you and kill you are everywhere. If I can't get over them, I just have to go around. It's like being stuck in a maze of ice.
Really, I want to be heading more like straight up there. You can see it looks a little bit flatter. If I can reach that, that's probably going to take me into the middle of it. But it is, you know, it's really hard keeping your direction here, just because there are no landmarks and the whole place is constantly moving and shifting.
Crevasses aren't the only problem out here. In Patagonian spring, the glacier is crisscrossed with meltwater. A stream can disappear without warning, carving a huge cavern under the ice called a moulin. It's a black, watery, freezing graveyard. The glacier is up to half a mile deep, and I'm going down there to see what it's like in this icy hellhole. If you go down one of these, you're never going to come back.
This really is an extraordinary place to be inside.
At any minute, it can fill with freezing water. Who knows where this shaft of death might lead?
We actually had a guy killed in one of these ice tubes on an expedition in the Himalayas, and he just was walking on a glacier and it dropped. He went straight down one of these chutes, straight into black, and he was never seen again. You know, these things really, I joke not, these can be real killers. Okay, I want to try and work my way out, but all of this ice is literally, it is a bullet hard.
Water is gushing down the sides of the Mullah. It's freezing me and soaking me to the skin. My boots are filling with icy water. I've got to get out now, and I have to do it fast. My ice axes are hardly scratching the surface.
And this ice is just rock hard.
I need to get a good grip and haul myself out. If I wasn't on a rope, I'd just vanish into the abyss.
God, I'm getting really, really drenched here.
I've hardly got any grip, even with crampons and ice axes.
My head is just freezing.
I'm on the Perito Moreno Glacier in Patagonia. I'm struggling to get out of a Mullah, a freezing, watery tomb of rock-hard ice. It's exhausting, painful, slow. My hands are frozen, I can't feel my feet, and I can barely hold on. But I have to make one last big push to get out.
I can't remember when I was last so grateful to feel the sun on my face. Because deep down that hole, where it's blue and then black, it's not a nice place to be. Okay, open this lip, and then I'm out.
I'm escaping the Mullah, but out here, freezing cold wet clothes can still kill you.
So I get these crampons off, my fingers are quite numb. And you know, if I just left myself soaking wet up here, you know, you get hypothermic on a glacier like this very fast. I want to get all of this kit off, wring it out, put it back on, and then get moving and get that blood pumping and hope that I'm generating enough heat to get the clothes dry.
If you get cold and wet out here, your body loses heat 3 times faster than in the dry. Unless you get warm, it means almost certain death.
And at the moment, what I need is to generate some warmth. If anyone can see me now, they think, what the hell's that mad Englishman doing butt naked in the middle of the flipping Patagonian ice field? That was a question I'm kind of asking myself as well. It's kind of just such a fundamental of survival. If you get wet, you've got to get out of your wet clothes and get warm and dry as soon as possible. Okay, you're gonna have to excuse me for the next 10 minutes while I just run up in here and get warm. That's better. Woo!
There's no shelter and nothing to eat here. I've just got to keep moving. Deeper into the heart of the glacier.
Now I'm more in the middle of the glacier. You can see the going's much smoother underfoot. Kind of like an ice highway here.
But there are no pit stops on this highway. Survival here is a struggle for even the most well-equipped.
Hey guys, come on, check this out. If you want to meet something that's good at survival, look at this fella. It's called an Andy-Perler-Wilinki. And these actually are really rare. You'll only find these up on this Patagonian ice field. In fact, they're the only thing living up here on this Patagonian ice field.
It's so rare, it's actually protected by Argentinian law. But in a survival situation, you could eat it.
And they're perfectly adapted to their environment, you know, to these sub-zero temperatures, high winds, and the ice. Amazing. And what a name. Andy-Perler-Wilinki. Oh, we'll leave him.
I've never encountered a place that is so inhospitable and unforgiving. The temperature on the glacier can plunge to minus 40 degrees. But the twists and turns of the Perito Moreno make navigation a real challenge.
Sorry guys, I've led you on a bit of a duff route here.
I don't want to have to retrace my steps. I need to get a move on.
Although what I could do actually is just cut like an ice bollard around this, and with my rope, just abseil down this.
The survival manual says go round an obstacle, even if it costs you time and energy. But I can go quicker if I rappel down the ice wall and get on my way.
And what I'm doing here is just cutting a groove for the rope to fit into.
The ice is so brittle, it can shatter like glass.
I just need to uncoil the rope.
I have to make sure the bollard is wide enough to take my weight without splitting. If it's too thin, the rope will slice through the top like cheese wire.
All I got to do is put it in a classic abseil, just through the legs, over the head, and then I'm good to go. Ease myself round, and down we go.
The bollard is holding. I'm over the ice wall.
And the great thing about using an ice bollard is you can then pull your rope down after you. And job's a good one.
The shattered rock and grit on the edge of the glacier covers the ice, but it's still treacherous. The ground is literally opening up in front of me, but it's not a place to shelter. Ice caves like this are caused by freezing glacial streams carving underwater channels through the glacier.
Okay guys, just take it easy in here, eh?
They might look inviting, but they can be death traps. The ice is constantly shifting, and at any minute it could fill with freezing water, or simply collapse and crush you to death.
And these ice tunnels really are, they feel like the kind of beating heart of the glacier. You know, it's as if this is just like a giant artery running straight under all of the ice.
The glacier moves an amazing 6 feet a day, and the ice is under intense pressure.
This is really quite an uncomfortable place to be. You can just imagine how many thousands of tons of ice there are directly above my head here.
Even the smallest shift in the ice could collapse a roof and crush me at any moment.
And the only good thing about this ice cave is that I can at least fill my water bottle from all the melting ice. But this is not a good place to be. This is now right in the belly of the glacier. I want this to fill up and get out of here fast. Come on. Okay. Right, let's get out of here. This is the most dangerous time as well, when you get all of this stuff just dripping. It means the ice is at its most fragile. This place really is beautiful kind of place you imagine Superman would live, but it's also deadly.
That's one place I'm glad to be out of. I've survived the crevasses and ice caves of the Merino Glacier. Now my next challenge in Patagonia is going to take me to the limit of my strength. I'm about to jump into the semi-arid desert of the Patagonian steppe, in the eastern rain shadow of the Andes mountain range. The steppe gets less rainfall than New Mexico, and locals say the wind is so relentless that it drives men mad. They say the Patagonian steppe reveals the person you really are, and that's where I'm going, right into that barren wilderness. Patagonian steppe is slightly bigger than California. It's 188,000 square miles of low scrub. There's little to eat and practically no protection from the notorious Patagonian wind. It was a hairy landing, but I'm safe on the ground, and there's no time to hang about.
But the reason it's so harsh is that it's that dangerous combination of these relentless winds, the strong sun, and these low temperatures. And it's one of those few places where you end up getting sunburned and hypothermic at the same time.
The winter lasts 5 months in Patagonia, and even though the sun often shines on the cloudless steppe, it won't give you any warmth. The wind can gust up to 120 miles per hour, enough to demolish houses and blow you off your feet. Any water quickly evaporates due to the relentless effects of sun and wind.
So everything is so dry. We look, all of that, and the earth, bone dry. So really your challenge here is just to find water.
Finding water on the steppe is a matter of life and death. To survive here, you've got to read the land.
And if you look at these hills, all of them look like they kind of come together down into this bowl. And then at the corner of it, you can see it's darker and it's wetter. And that's going to be your best chance of getting something to drink.
Tiny freshwater springs are a lifeline out here.
This is definitely a spring.
This Patagonian oasis is a magnet for the local wildlife.
So you see how many animal tracks are around this. Yeah, look at all these. The only thing is, animals don't always have the best table manners. And where they drink, they'll also pee and poo. What I want to try and do is just like dig a bit of a trench to get some of this water flowing and take the contaminated stuff away. And look at it starting to run now, you see? And that's the stuff I want to be drinking. And it's easy when you're hunting for water to be like lulled into a full sense of security, thinking it's the clear stuff, you know, like this, that is the good stuff to drink. When actually, the fresher stuff is found right here. So it's coming fresh straight out of the ground. So even though it looks like dirty, you're better off drinking this.
It's not a great idea unless you're desperate. The amount of animal dung here means you could get any number of parasitic or bacterial diseases, but it could save your life.
And it probably wouldn't win any prizes in a restaurant, but at least hopefully the spring bit of it isn't contaminated. And really it's a little bit like kind of drinking from a loo bowl, but out on the step is about as good as you're gonna get.
The distances here are immense. You've just got to keep going in the hope of finding food, water and shelter. But this arid wilderness can still throw huge obstacles in your way.
All of the step is basically crisscrossed with like these series of escarpments, and you can either go round them or you can go over them. And this cliff face here just looks beautiful, and I love to climb. I'm just going to see if I can make it up and over this one.
It's about 150 foot high and full of cracks and fissures. It's a dream climb, but a tough one.
You know, sometimes you look at a cliff, it will just look like impenetrable. But my dad always used to tell me when I was climbing, you can never tell how steep something is until you literally rub noses with it. And it's when you get up close, you can begin to see the lines of weakness in a rock face.
Going round this ridge could literally take days. But if you've got to get up here, this is how to do it.
And all I'm using here is this like crack in the rock behind it, trying to just jam my fist in and keep that in, and that's kind of what I'm leaning on. Get the blood back into the other arm and then move up. Really, to climb efficiently, it's all about distributing your weight. So it's not all on your fingers or all on one foot, just spreading it evenly.
On a long climb like this, it's vital to conserve your strength. Take things at a steady pace and don't rush. Get into position and then make your next move.
And really, this is what they call the crux of the climb, where it's gonna make or break. If you look down from here, there's a good sized drop. I should be able to jam a foot in here. Quite a tough climb, but fun.
For my next challenge, I'll be tracking with a Patagonian gaucho. We're on the hunt for the most feared predator on the steppe.
This is puma kill.
I'm on the trail of puma with a local hunter. The gauchos of Patagonia have herded sheep and cattle here for centuries. These Argentinian cowboys know the art of survival in this lonely wilderness and are expert horsemen and hunters.
Whoa. Woo. And this is Raul. We're hunting for pumas at the moment. Hay rastros aquí. Just looking to see if there are any tracks around here by the waterhole.
Pumas are killing machines, the size of mountain lions. They can destroy whole herds of livestock.
Okay, he doesn't see any around here. Who reckons if we head up por allá, head up there, better chance.
Pumas are a huge problem out here. Every one has a bounty on its head.
Pretty bleak up here when it starts raining with the wind as well. Doesn't seem to deter Raul though. He's determined to find a puma. At this stage, I'd be just determined to find someone to get out of this rain.
Even though this area is practically a desert, the fickle Patagonia weather can change in the blink of an eye. And it's not long before we see the first signs of puma.
This is sort of damage that the pumas do to livestock. So it means we're on the right track. I was asking Raul what someone should do if they're ever attacked by a puma. And what he said is your best chance is to try and bluff it and stand tall and make as much noise as you can and basically try and show the puma that you're stronger than the puma is.
Last year, a man fishing in the nearby lake was killed by a puma. It looks like we're getting dangerously close to our target.
De puma?
Comiendo del león.
Seguro?
Mata, agarra, come.
He's saying this is definitely a puma kill.
¿Esto es un guanaco? Sí.
Look at the skull there of a guanaco, like a wild llama. This is where it would have brought it and eaten it.
Esto es un lugar donde él viene, come y puede dormir, porque tiene buena vista, le pega el sol, entonces el animal come tranquilo.
Yeah, he said this is a typical place that, puma will bring it. It's got a really good view out of all the hunting ground. It can be out of the sun, out of the wind and rain, and this is just sort of place that puma would use.
Yo creo que Puma anda cerca, porque si está esto acá, vamos a seguir un poco más allá.
He reckons might well be a puma not far away.
Raul is definitely onto something. His knife is poised. Under the rock, we come face to face with the deadly power of the puma. A half-eaten calf.
Look at the nose on this, and that's what they do. They take that, and also that gash straight from the puma claw down there. And then the puma will also eat all of the soft organs. And that's really telling, and this is definitely, no doubt, this is puma kill. So I'm just a bit concerned that this is very, very fresh, and there are a lot of puma kills and bones around here. And it's not kind of a good place just to be hanging about if there are pumas.
Raul won't let any part of this puma kill go to waste. He'll use the skin for saddles and bridles.
He's only been here about 20 seconds. He's already skinning it. ¿Y se puede comer la carne como esto?
Sí, 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 sí.
Just asking if you can eat this meat raw straight off the carcass. Slightly worryingly, he said yes.
¿Quiere probar?
Gracias. Well, that question backfired. Gracias, Raúl. It's blooming tough, this one. Can't even get it down. gone. Raúl, ¿quieres comer algo?
Pero yo no.
No, tú no. Oh, gracias. No, he doesn't want any. Oh, great.
Para cocinar.
He's saying it's better when it's cooked. Yeah, thanks. Right, let's get the meat off this, the skin off it, and get down off this hillside.
I've seen close up the damage that a puma can do. Next, I'm gonna spend a freezing night out on the steppe.
I can tell tonight is going to be cold.
I'm crossing the wild expanse of the Patagonian steppe. European settlers came here in the 19th century to farm sheep and cattle. But there's so little to sustain life here that huge areas see no people at all.
People often on flat ground will underestimate distances by about threefold, especially when there are very few landmarks to judge the distance. But what I've learned from Patagonia, from experience, is you can multiply that again. The whole place is so huge. And you look at the lake over here, that looks 5-10 minutes walk at the most. But I can tell you, it's going to take me 45 minutes.
There's a story of 3 Welsh settlers who found out just how unforgiving this place can be. They strayed from a path and died of thirst. Their bleached bones were found years later, just yards from a stream. And at night, the cloudless sky means temperatures plummet to -15 degrees.
I can tell tonight is going to be cold. So really my priority is just to get some shelter from the wind and then collect a load of firewood so I can make a fire and keep myself warm.
If you're gonna make camp, the golden rule is do it before it gets dark.
This is about the biggest boulder around here. And it's a good place for me to shelter, nicely protected from the wind. Got a load of wood, and the great thing about this boulder here is that look, it's covered in it. Old man's beard. And all of this is bone dry.
This moss only grows where the air is pure, and it's been used as tinder on the steppe for centuries. The Tehuelche Indians, conquistadores and European settlers all used it to make fire, and it works brilliantly.
When I was out gathering a lot of that wood, one thing I did notice was a lot of animal tracks, and especially hares.
If I can make snares for my parachute lines, I've got a chance of catching some food.
And all I need to do is make like a bite in one end, just a really simple overhand knot that gives you that really nice simple little loop, and then I just thread the other end through that. When it comes under pressure, it tightens on itself. Okay, I've got a good number of these snares now. Take those, knife, and I'm also gonna take one of these and just smear the scent of the cowpat all the way over my hands. And what this will do is hopefully mask my scent. So when I'm laying the snares, all any animal's gonna smell is cowpat and not human.
Trying to trap anything is always a tricky business. It takes time, patience, and you're quite likely to end up going hungry. I'm trying to get the odds in my favour though, by laying as many traps as possible.
You want something that's got a natural track to it, that they use regularly, but also you want something that acts as a choke point, i.e. they can't go anywhere else, they have to get funneled through a gap. And the first thing I want to do is just tie it really well around the base of one of these bushes, and then what I need is just a couple of little branches to act as supports for the noose. And you want this to be about a hand's height off the ground and about a fist width. And then hopefully a hare that will use this run, come along, head through this, and then just get snagged.
The sun is setting and the light fading, but I know from bitter experience that the odds are against me getting hare for breakfast tomorrow. I've got the only shelter for miles, and with my fire to keep me warm, it's time to settle in for a night on the steppe.
I think the magic of places like this is that everything slows down and life becomes much more raw, and those things that keep you going in life suddenly become much more prominent. And you know, for me, certainly that's, you know, my Christian faith is a big part of that, and it's helped me through so many, you know, difficult and often quite lonely times. And for me, that's my backbone, I think.
I've spent the night sheltering under a boulder on the Patagonian steppe. Last night was 2 degrees below freezing, and now I really need to get warm.
Well, my dad always used to say, once a year try and watch the sunrise. He didn't always manage, but that's just wonderful. And what I've got here is just what's called paramella, and this only grows here on the steppe, and it kind of looks a bit like a mini fern, but it's really sticky, and that's why you can tell it's paramella. But the locals will use this as a really good cold remedy. And what I'm going to do is just use it to make a cup of tea. Oh man, that is hot.
I want to get going and see if I've got a hare.
It's a bit like Christmas morning. I'm really hoping there's going to be a nice present in one of these snares.
But this time, it seems the hares have outsmarted me.
There's no luck with this one either. Although, look, you can see hair droppings nearby, which means they obviously do use this run, but just not last night. It looks like I'm not having hare for breakfast. Right, okay.
With little or no food on the steppe, surviving out here is a huge challenge. I've got to move on. I'm on the Patagonian steppe, where the vicious winds flay your skin and the sun fries you. I'm at the mercy of the elements more than I've ever felt before.
Just like skin shredding, this wind.
Even the smallest amount of shelter here is a godsend.
Let's take 2 minutes. It's just nice to get out of that wind. And this like calafate bush, it's really the only thing that grows here that's going to offer you any sort of protection. In fact, gauchos still today will sleep under these bushes as a form of shelter. You can actually eat the little flowers off this. In summertime, this whole bush would just be covered in berries, but at the moment it's pretty scant pickings. Just a little flower. It's going to give a bit of moisture, probably about 1.5 calories, but 1.5 quite tasty calories.
The steppe is crossed with streams and glacial meltwater. The best bet is to aim down for the valleys, the fast way or the bear way.
That's how to get down the scree slope.
These streams carry rain and snow melt from the high steppe into the valleys below.
That's nice.
Best of all, the water is clean and pure.
Really, finding a river like this through the steppe, it's just like striking gold.
If you follow the stream bed, you're more likely to find food as well. I'm going to keep foraging along the valley floor for anything I can find.
Here we go. I think these are little macachine shoots, and they're pretty weeny. Look, see if you can see this.
If you dig down, you'll get to this little like bulb on the end. Bummer is that it's spring and they're only just starting to grow. You know, by summertime, these would be like small potatoes, but at the moment, I'm not holding out much hope for a huge feast. It doesn't look like much, but macachine is packed with moisture and carbohydrate. You need to have a steady hand of a surgeon to avoid cutting into the roots of these. Yeah, look at this. It's always a bit of a lottery whether you get a tiny little one or one like this. And that's delicious. It's not exactly a feast, but if you know where to look and what to look for, you can find food here. One of the keys of survival is to keep water close by. If you can find a stream and follow it, you've got a good chance of finding people. Patagonia has pushed me to my limits. I've endured snow and ice, wind and sun, but it's left a deep impression on me.
This is the same place and shoreline that Indians will have roamed across for thousands of years, and also that those early explorers like Darwin would have seen. And really, for me, there's something very moving just about, about this whole ancient and such unchanged land.